Good day my scholars, welcome to my school channel. My name is Alexandra. In today's video, we'll be looking at reported speech. We'll be looking at the types of reported speech which include the direct and indirect speech. And then lastly, we'll look at the process involved in reported speech. Do not go anywhere, stay with us and we'll be right back. Welcome back to my school channel. So today's topic is reported speech. I've outlined 3 objectives for today's lesson. The first is the meaning of reported speech. The second is the types of reported speech. And lastly, we'll be looking at the processes involved in making a reported speech. Now let's proceed with the first objective, which is the meaning of reported speech itself. Now reported speech is simply narrating or reporting what someone else has said. It's as simple as that, reporting or narrating what someone else has said. Now there are 2 ways you can report a speech or narrate a speech. You can do it directly or indirectly. And that leads us to number 2 objective, which is the types of reported speech. So we can have the direct speech and the indirect speech. Now these are the 2 types of reported speech. Now what is a direct speech and what is an indirect speech? Or what are the differences between the direct and indirect speech? Now direct speech is using the exact words used by another speaker. And the indirect speech is not using the exact words used by another speaker. Now take for example, I say, I am teaching. So this is my expression, and you want to give a direct speech of this expression. You say, she said, I am teaching. Now this is a direct speech. If you want to make an indirect speech of this expression, say she said that she was teaching. So this is the indirect speech of this expression. So this is the direct speech and this is the indirect speech. Now, you observe there are changes made from the direct speech to the indirect speech. What are these changes? The introduction of that, which is the conjunction. We have I here as opposed to what is here, she, and we have am here as opposed to what is here, was. So for the direct speech, you can see the exact words of the speaker used. So we are using the exact words of the speaker. But for indirect speech, there's a change. Okay, so we are not using the exact words of the speaker. So this is the speaker saying I am teaching, and for the direct speech, we have retained the expression. We have introduced the speaker by saying she said. Okay, but for the indirect speech, we are introducing the speaker and also changing some other elements. Okay, as we can see here. So this leads us to the processes involved in making reported speech. There are certain changes that are made when making the direct speech, which is the introduction of the person itself with appropriate punctuations. Okay, punctuations can alter meaning, so we need to know the exact place to use our punctuations and the right punctuation to use. And for the direct speech, we need to know what has to change, okay, when giving the indirect speech. Now that leads us to the third one, which is the process involved in direct speech. So we'll be using our visuals to explain the last objective. Now let's move towards the visuals. So the first process for direct speech, the speaker's word must be included in quotation mark. Now quotation mark is used to quote what someone else has said. It could be a book title, it could be a scholar, just to quote what someone else has said. Now the quotation mark is also used in the direct speech, and the quotation mark is visible by the presence of paired command. You're seeing a paired comma. One is useless without the other, so it has to be the two sides. Okay, so you have one here and the other here. So you have Jide said, comma, the expression, and then the full stop, all contained in quotation mark. Now, generally observe the use of punctuation in this direct speech. Now, you observe that there's a comma after Jide said, there's a quotation mark, and there's a full stop. After the full stop, you have the quotation mark. Now, the place of punctuation is very important in expressions. It can alter the meaning of expressions. So sometimes it is always required to use punctuations where it is necessary. Once you omit that, it will give a different expression. And so in direct speech, punctuation is very important. Especially in direct speech, punctuation is very important. You have to put the punctuations where you ought to put them. So quickly check it out and ensure that you have a good visual of where the punctuations should be. Now let's take a look at the second process. The speaker statement is introduced by that, which is subordinate construction in indirect speech. So that is a subordinate conjunction, and so it is used in indirect speeches. So for the direct speech, you have Jide said, the lady will come. So the lady will come is the expression or the statement made by someone, and Jide said, the lady will come. This is direct speech. Then the indirect speech, Jide said that. So you can see the introduction of the that. The lady will come. So that is usually introduced in the indirect speech. Now let's take a look at the third process. The quotation mark must be removed in indirect speech. So we do not need a quotation mark in indirect speech. Indirect speech is needed in the direct speech. But for the indirect speech, we do not need the quotation mark. Afterward, the indirect speech is just a paraphrase of what is being said. So they have the direct speech, Kelly said, it is time. And then the indirect speech, Kelly said that it was time. So you see there is no quotation mark in this expression. Now I'll move to the next one. Before we do that, you need to subscribe to a special package, which is the full video package for this video. All you need to do is you click on the link in the description below. It takes you to the My School website. There you'll be required to subscribe. Go ahead and subscribe so you can enjoy the rest of today's lesson. Thank you for joining us. Do not forget to hit the like button, click on the subscribe button, and lastly, tap on the bell notification to get informed as soon as we release the next videos.